Hello and welcome to another episode of Tom's TC, and today I thought I'd take you through servicing my Honda 250 Rally. This is a 2019 model and this is what is recommended. It's the Motul, I've gone for Motul 10W40, and this is what's recommended, so I've gone for this. I've also gone for a servicing kit on eBay, which I can give you the link down below, which includes air filter, oil filter, sump plug washer, and the seal for the oil filter cover as well. So I'll take you through the service from start to finish. The bike has done 6,000 miles or just over 6,000 miles, and it's had a pretty harsh life. It's been underwater and all sorts. It has been serviced at the dealership, but this is the first time it'd be being serviced by myself, just for peace of mind really. Now before you start the service, it's always a good idea to let the bike run up to temperature. So let it sit there for about 5 minutes at least, just to get nice and warm, let the oil get around the engine so that when it comes out it just falls straight out. I've decided to cut the lower half of the fairing and remove the bash plate. You don't have to, you can still get access to the sump plug, which is just under here, but I've decided to remove it all because the bike needed a good clean anyway, so it was ideal time to remove the sump plug. Before you begin, get yourself a nice oil catcher underneath, which will take enough oil. This bike takes about 1.4 litres of oil, so I think we've got plenty of room in here. Now the first job to do is to remove the oil filler cap. So we take that out and put that somewhere very safe. The next job will be to remove the sump plug, which is here, and it's on the left side of the bike. You just need to put your bike on a side stand, make sure on a nice level point. And you just remove this. It's an 11mm socket, so you just put that on the bottom there and loosen it, like so. Let your hands do the rest. Try not to lose the bolt in the pan, and away you go. And now it's just an idea to let that drain for as long as you possibly can, so that all the oil is out. Now once all of the oil is drained off, for as much as it possibly can, you need to replace the sump bolt. I've gone for a new sump bolt and a new washer. You don't have to get a new sump bolt, but it's a good idea too, and it comes in the pack that I brought anyway, so I might as well use it. It's always a good idea to replace that washer though. And then all you do, put the washer back in. I'm sorry if my head's in the way. Just need to find the hole first of all. Hey, and in we go. Like so. Just do as finger tight as you possibly can. Get your ratchet and just torque that back up. Doesn't have to be very tight at all. Like so. And then just give it a clean up with a rag or something like that. Just make sure there's no residue oil. That's that side done. We move on to the other side of the bike now to replace the oil filter and the air filter. Okay, so now we just need to remove the oil filter cover, which is this part here, and there's 4 bolts all the way around, and you just pull this out and the oil filter comes out as well. So we just release the bolts. I've already untightened them. With the brake down. There we go. And we just loosen them completely off. And you see there's quite a lot of oil that comes out of that. You've got the gasket there, and inside there's a spring. And it's really important that spring stays like that. So just place that over out of the way. Remove the old filter and the old gasket, like so, and then just get an old rag and just clean out excess oil that's sitting in there as well, if you can, like so. Just give it a good old clean while you've got it off. I've removed as much oil as I can out of there. There's the old oil filter, and the old gasket as well, that'll be thrown away. And then if we just look at the cover, a bit more detail, there's a little spring in there. That's really important. It stays in exactly the same way as it came out. So just remember that. And then it's just a reverse job with your new oil filter to put it back in. Okay, so here's the new oil filter. Now before I put it back in the bike, I always like to just give it a little bit of a prime with some oil. Tiniest amount, just to go around the seal, like so. And then we just put that back into the bike. Like that. It should stay there. And then it's just a question of getting the new gasket on there as well. So here's the new gasket, and the gasket can only go on one way. Try and do it one-handed, like so, and then you'll just line that up as you put the cover in place. So like I said, it's just a case of reverse order the way you went in before. Just remove any excess oil on the cover seal area. Now if it's really bad, you could always give it a little bit of a clean up with some wire wool, but I think it's fine in this case. So that just goes back on like that with the spring in place obviously, and you just got to make sure that gasket is really nicely lined up, otherwise you're going to have leaks. And then you just, again, just double check you're not catching that gasket anywhere. If you can, just finger tight the bolts in first of all. I think this one behind the brake lever is going to be a bit challenging. What you should do is each corner, but as I can't get to that one behind the brake lever particularly easily, I'll do that in a second. You just want the bolts to hold it in place really while you make sure everything's lined up. You definitely don't want to cross thread this. It seems to be going pretty easily actually. Famous last words. I'm going to just do that one up a little bit tighter than the others, just because it's awkward. Need an extra, I think I might use the hand driver for that. So I've got my hand driver, screwdriver, whatever you want to call it, and that just gives me a bit more. Yeah, there we go. And just do the rest as well. Just making sure that that gasket is really nicely lined up. You're going to get a little bit of oil squidging out around the edges, and that last awkward one like so, and then we just get the ratchet, give it a good old hand tighten, and you can torque that up with the correct torque settings if you wish. You just got to work each corner, make sure it's nice and tight, and like I said, make sure it all looks nice and tidy and that there's no gasket sticking out where it shouldn't be, which I think we're good. All looks good. And just get rid of all of the excess oil that came out when you took the filter out as well. So the next job is just to fill up with the oil. Now this bike takes 1.4 litres of oil. So I know that this particular bottle is a litre. Okay, so we're just going to pour all that in, and then we'll put another 400 ml in. Okay, so that's 1 litre in, so we just need to put another 400 ml in. At this stage, I'd just like to check where we're at. Yeah, it's just coming up now. Don't be tempted to put too much in. Now normally I would use a jug, but these actual bottles have a measurement on the side, so they've got half litre measurements as well. We know this is 400 ml that we need to put in, so it's just literally just above the halfway line, and I'll check that. Just put that on the flat surface and just double check. We'll just have a look at the fill line on the bike. So you just stand the bike up, let it settle for a little while, and then just check. Yep, I'll try and get that on camera. Okay, so if we look, it's quite hard to see with that foot pegging away. Just shift myself back and just pick the bike up onto the vertical, and you can see the oil is just about halfway, so that's perfect. So now just remove your funnel and put your oil filler cap back in. And like so. Again, just making sure it goes in nice and straight. There we go. Use my right hand to make it nice and tight. There we go. So now we changed the oil and we changed the oil filter. Next thing to do is the air filter, and the air filter resides on the right hand side behind this panel here. So we'll get that done now. It's just a few Allen bolts, remove that. So just remove the Allen bolt up here and here. And that piece of fairing just comes away like so. It just pulls away. There's a little lug here, and this is your air filter box here. So we'll just unscrew that. Just a couple of Phillips screws. Okay, so apologies, but basically my camera stopped recording. You've got basically Allen bolt here, Allen bolt here, Allen bolt here, and then there's four Phillips screws that hold this box in here. And you remove that, and you take out the old air filter and put in the new one. It's really straightforward. This is the old one. It's really old and tired and pretty manky, and this is the new one. So this one's going to go in. It's picked up a little bit of dirt from my gloves. And all it does is there's a couple of little lugs in there that just pop on like that. I do need 2 hands to do this, so I can't show you in too much detail. But it just clicks into place like so. Really straightforward. And I'll bring over and show you more detail. So as you can see, the new filter's in place. Really straightforward, just stops straight in. And the air box is here behind that panel, and it's just 4 easy screws to remove the panel. Okay, so once you've changed oil and you've changed your air filter, just run it up to temperature again. Just check for leaks underneath, especially concentrating on the sump bolt and the oil filter as well, the oil filter cover. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. I hope it taught you something about servicing your bike. If you would like to do so, give me a thumbs up, subscribe and comment below. And I'll see you next time on Tom's TC.